The leopard geckos are on the move. Woo! Hey guys, how's it going? It's me, Josh Halter, owner and founder of the Bio Dude. So, behind me is my store. So you guys know that we produce a lot of the animals that we sell. We actually have a ton of breeding programs going on right now with a lot of awesome babies coming out of eggs, and it's just amazing to see. But part of owning a niche store like mine is you also need to be able to trust other people to be able to supply you with healthy captive bred animals. And today we actually got a shipment and I'm gonna unbox it with you guys, which is very exciting. Normally we'll use phase packs, so we'll see if there's a phase 22 pack in here. Our first option here are some leopard geckos. So you guys know that we quarantine all of our animals before they go out on the floor for a minimum of 2 weeks to make sure that the animals are all healthy. As you can see here, they are good looking critters. So these were sold to us as normal, but they don't look too normal to me. They actually look more like a little bit of the hypo. I love leopard geckos because they start off with their bands. The bands eventually dilute out and turn into spots, hence the name leopard gecko. When we get these animals, we're always looking at a couple things. We're looking at their toes. We're making sure that there are 5 toes on each foot. We are looking at their eyes, making sure that their eyes are clear and not sunken in. We're also looking at their tail. How thick is their tail? As well as at the very top. And you look back here, typically a dehydrated or malnourished animal, you will be able to see the protrusion of the top hip bones. Looking at both of these critters in here, I see none of that. So these guys should do really well in quarantine. And of course, we will dust them with different calcium and a multivitamin during their feeding here. So that way we make sure that they are used to eating calcium and gut-loaded crickets and small, soft-bodied roaches. There's some froggies in here. Let's take this a day at a time. Oh, and here we got some bearded dragons. So these are called blue bar bearded dragons. So I'm gonna be honest with you, we have a hard time finding healthy captive bred bearded dragons. Bearded dragons are everywhere. You can literally find them on Craigslist, you can find them on Facebook, and everybody and their mother wants to breed bearded dragons. The biggest thing with bearded dragons is they are seasonal breeders, which means that there are many beardies produced not during their season, which you need to be careful with that because sometimes the failure to thrive is a real thing. What we are looking for with these guys is a couple things. Like the leopard geckos, we are checking all of their feet. We are making sure that they all have 5 fingers and 5 toes. We are checking their back to make sure that we don't see any protruding hip bones, as well as checking to make sure they're not too dehydrated. And boy, they are beautiful. I mean, look at these guys. These guys, we keep them in open top tubs with heat and UVB, paper towels, and give them fruits, vegetables, and of course, your roaches and crickets during their 2-week quarantine period here. And I can tell you, I don't expect these critters to last here very long. Typically, we get in 6 bearded dragons, and they will be gone within 2 weeks after putting them out on the floor. What else we got here? Yeah, all right, now, these are considered normal bearded dragons. So, one of the biggest things that we're gonna have to look out for with these guys as well is determining if they, what their coccidia level is. So we usually deworm with Panicure, but if there is coccidia, we will use Albon, as well as some other types of good dewormers. So one thing that we're gonna look at, as you can see here, that these 3 are much larger than these 3. So we have 2 separate quarantine extra large tubs for each of these. So these guys are all about the same size. So if we would get them in and there's one that's way smaller than the other 2, we will not keep the smaller one with the other. This guy got pooped on, and he also has a little bit of excess stuck shed right here. So one of the first things we're gonna be doing with these guys is we're gonna be giving them a really, really nice warm soak because obviously they're a little dehydrated because of the shipping, the stress of the shipping. But we also want to make sure that we get any excess skin or anything taken off. And there's a lot of shed stuck on this guy. There's retained shed on his toes that is actually constricting his toe. So we need to make sure we get that off or else he'll lose his nail. You can also see very briefly on this guy, there's a little bit of an indentation. He's not underweight by any means, but his body score would be considered a 2.5 out of 5 when we're looking at a basic wellness exam for these guys. I've learned a lot on what to look for when getting these new animals in because my wife is a veterinarian, and I have learned a lot from her as far as what she looks like when doing her exotic intake exams. All right, let's see here. So we got a lot of cool stuff in here, which I'm pretty excited to share with you guys. I'm gonna do the frogs dead last because I have to put a new pair of gloves. Now, we got a California king snake in here. This is a banded. Wow. I love me some Cali king snakes. Now we have a whole bunch of king snakes here. We have Mexican blacks, we have milks, and we have other Florida kings, a whole bunch of stuff. Now you can see he is not used to really being held. We're gonna check a couple things. So first things first, what I do is I'll usually gently grab right behind his head, not a bunch of pressure. And I'm checking underneath his eyes. I'm checking his heat pit. Now what I'm looking for are mites. I can't tell you how many reputable wholesale dealers I purchased from that sold me snakes ridden with mites. And it really, really grinds my gears when mites come into my near flawless facility here. We're also looking for any kinks. So when you are mass producing king snakes, corn snakes, milk snakes, sometimes the genetic pool can get a little questionable. So sometimes you get snakes with kinks. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stretch out my critter here very carefully, and I'm gonna make sure I don't see any musculoskeletal deformities. I don't see any. I don't see any cloacal protrusion coming out the back, which is also good. Nor do I see any stuck shed on this guy. So that's really good. So what we're gonna do for him, he's gonna be kept in a rack, which is a rather large tub with a heat mat put onto a thermostat for 2 weeks. We're gonna make sure that we get a nice soak, and we're also gonna make sure that we have 2 successful feedings before we go out on the sales floor. I'm gonna put our new pair of gloves for each amphibian because these guys are super sensitive. Now the amphibians take a little bit more work for us. You guys know, like, we breed a whole bunch of amphibians here in-house. Between our cinnamon tree frogs, our Borneo-eared frogs, and our 5 different species of poison dart frogs that we have over 100 babies of, amphibians have always been more of my specialty. I would love to breed my group of whites, but I simply just can't right now because we don't have space to raise the tads. So you can see in here, we did get 1 PacMan frog. We do have another one in stock. So PacMans, they are mass produced, as we are all well aware. A lot of the facilities that produce them, you really wanna watch. If you're buying a PacMan frog from somebody, you always wanna ask them how long they've had it. Because PacMans are very sedentary, and a lot of times when they're mass produced in a facility, there can be things like chytrid fungus and rana. So when this guy's in quarantine, we're gonna make sure that he not only is eating, but we will also do a chytrid test. He probably morphed out of his tadpole stage about 2 weeks ago. PacMans are very delicate when they're this little. Although they are very easy to take care of, they are delicate, and you need to make sure that you are following all proper procedures with them, even though they are an extremely hardy amphibian. And then next we have the Dumpies. Most of these guys are, they are considered captive bred, but a lot of them are bred outside in greenhouses in California. So a lot of people will set up an outdoor greenhouse, put 30 of them in there with a massive pond, and then just constantly go in there and pull babies, or breed them, you know, here in the facility. I've been breeding Dumpies for years. They're not hard to breed. They're in fact extremely easy. They're just very dirty. So just like the PacMan frog, we are going to be taking extra steps to make sure that these guys do not have the chytrid fungus, as well as making sure they have a good body score, making sure that they are shedding appropriately. So you can see these guys range from green to blue. You can get snowflakes, you can get blue eyes, you can literally get everything. So these guys were sold to me as snowflakes, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not really seeing any. I'm seeing a couple here on the side. So let me see if I can get another one out to show you guys. Here we go. So if you look here at the caudal aspect, you can see some very minor spots here and here, not towards cranial, towards the back. And that is what is the snowflake. So these guys are gonna be the normal dumpy frog green covered in little white spots. I'm looking for rashes or sores that are prevalent on their legs or their body. If you see any red sores on your amphibian, it's probably rhinovirus, and that is one of the most contagious things you can bring into your facility, and there's no cure. We will test for the chytrid fungus, and then of course we're making sure that we are giving them a round of panicure as well before they go out on the sales floor, because they will inevitably be filled with nasties, being communally kept in tanks that have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of frogs. It wasn't a huge shipment. This was just something that we got in. We're doing a lot better at producing a lot of our own stuff, which is just amazing. That's always been a goal of mine. And it's nice that we do have a reputable dealer that's able to provide us some really healthy captive bred animals. You guys can come to my showroom and check all these guys out. If you want to know more about our quarantining procedures or want to know more about our health guarantee, feel free to come to our website or give us a call. All of our animals come with a 14-day warranty after they're purchased. That includes animals purchased off Morph Market. You can find a lot of the animals that we produce in-house on Morph Market. Animals that we purchase from a third party, we do not put on Morph Market. So any animal you see on Morph Market is bred 100% by us in our facility. Again, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed getting critters in. It's one of my favorite days. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of look inside our day-to-day here. We do the lines.